Hi everyone, just thought I'd give you a quick rundown on our Expert combs and some of the differences between our brand and some of the others out in the market. So we have some identification things that are a little bit different than standard. You'll see in here we have 96 7.5. It tells you what it is there. The reason we've put that there is most of the time you have your comb sitting in your pouch this way, you're looking at it from this angle, and if the bottom's ground out or there's nothing here, you can't tell what it is. So we thought if the bottom's ground out but you've still got some of this grinding relief here or the curve clearance, then you'll still be able to identify the comb pretty easy just by bringing it up out of your comb pouch, and there it is. The other number next to it is just the batch number so that we know when it was made. And then you also have the identification number here, 7.5. We also have RAT or RAT. Now that stands for Radius Alignment Technology. That is this and this mark here on both combs and cutters. So these lines here are for when you line up your pendulum, you draw a line straight across your disc and line these marks up with the line that you've drawn across on your disc, and then you'll be having your hollow go straight through the center. These have been measured and they're in that center line of your comb every time. Once you've set your pendulum where you want to finish and the line's going straight through, you won't need to do it again. But this is just a good tool to be able to quickly set your grinder up, make sure you got the right height, and then the rest is up to you about how sharp you get them. Okay, also we have 96 7.5 here. We have another batch number here, and we have just the Expert logo here. We'll quickly have a look at the cutter. Now the cutter, this is our 3mm. Very, very popular cutter. We have the same thing, the RAT mark there, we have the RAT markers here. We'll see if we can get close enough. There we are. There and there. It's exactly the same thing. Draw a line on your disc, put the line through there where you finish on your disc, and you're in the right spot and the hollow's going through the center like that. Expert and another batch number. Now one thing with the cutters, yes, these are 3mm. So for those guys that like to just buy cutters and not have to worry about running them in, this is the thickness for you. So 3mm is what handpieces are set at. That's what the post guide is set at. These are 3mm. You'll get a good start with these. These are pre-ground at factory, ground with a normal shearing grinder. So you should have a good cut straight from the box. Also, you'll notice the tips really, really pointy, and there's a reason for it, and we'll go through that in a minute. But these would have the pointiest tips on the market. How we get that is a bit of a trade secret, but they're like that for a reason. Not suitable for cover combs, but definitely suitable for flat combs. And you won't find another cutter with tips like that. Just another quite quick tip on our combs. This is the 7.5, and as you can see here, what we're trying to do is get the tip right up the top. So there's no, big heap of roundness right at the tip. We need that to go right up. The higher the tip, the better. Better entry, better flow, and the comb generally runs through the wall easier, so then less pushing and less cutting of skin. So that's one thing we've really focused on, is just getting that tip really high right up the top without that extra roundness. Okay, so we've put the comb and cutter on. What we're looking at now, which is what is different with our combs, is this gap here and this one here. So the reason we've done that, and we'll try and explain it now, is when the cutter is right over here, we have wool flowing in here, the cutter comes across, wool flowing in here. As you can see, this one here, the cutter's leaving this gap, coming across this gap, and it's only going to go back to here, back to the other side, and then it's back to here quicker. So in the meantime, this one here, you're chugging the wool through here, this still hasn't caught up. Now we know this does, I think it's 7,000 oscillations a minute, but when you're really pushing that through the wool, especially dense sheep, a lot of wool's going in here. So what we've done is, with these gaps here, is widen these a bit to allow more wool to flow in here, not as much into here. We still need wool to flow in here, but we're trying to get a little bit more in here and a little bit more in here to stop that. Now as you can see, the other thing is with the cutter. Right, you see the cutter there? You can see that that very tip takes up hardly any room in that area there. Now if that tip was, say, really rounded, it can't let as much wool through as this one. So more wool can be allowed in and cut quicker than if one was a little bit fatter in here, because the wool hits the end and doesn't want to get cut as quick. So as we can see, you know, this is a good spot here. Good one, bad one, good one. Doesn't quite go all the way, but it's good because it's cutting. It's just cut and then it's back again. Same here. Cut, back. These outside ones are the worst. So we're really trying to get away from having too much wool come in here, and that's where you'll find on the last side or wherever you really fill your comb up, you'll leave those pin ridges that come down, because this gap here and this gap here, the cutter just can't get there quick enough. So by the time it gets there, the wool's laid down. It's going right back down to here. So the wool's laid down, and then you come across, you cut it, it goes back across, and then the wool's cut because it's laid down, it's cut, but it's cut longer, and then it stands up a little bit. So less wool, more wool. That's what we've tried to do at Expert. Not sure if that's going to help you guys, but there's the differences with our combs and cutters. Our 3.5mm cutter is exactly the same as the 3mm, just a bit thicker. Same thing being ground from factory. And all our 96s will have the same bends. You'll notice them. Our 98.4, slightly wider, but it will have a lot longer scallop here to allow even more flow. The less of this ground surface going through the wool before it gets cut, the better. So we have less of this furry stuff getting pushed through the wool on our 4mm. And then we've got the new 3.5mm range, which we have a 94 and a 96. The 94 I think will be a great show shearing comb. But yeah, have a look at that. That's where we're at, and good luck with your shearing, because a lot of this information is going to help you.